Are there any downsides to drafting Wemby?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And we're going to get you going right here on Locked On Spurs. As always, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts like YouTube, KENS 5 Plus app, and so many new platforms, including, yes, Sirius XM Radio. Locked On Spurs will now be on Sirius XM Radio. So if you have it, dial in. What are we talking about today? Look, I get it. It's a no-brainer. Wemby's number one. We get it. Spurs have a great shot at getting him. But what could be possible downsides or maybe things that we're not highlighting about his game that Spurs fans should just be mental noting them, so to speak? And then we're going to get into some interesting sneakers. And I wonder if our guests would push the button and get them. They are kind of Spurs. No, well, they are Spurs related. It's just not in a good way. Let's go to bring him on. He is Vinny Vinzetta. He is my colleague at KENS 5 on the TV side of things, holding it down on the sports desk. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta. Vinny, welcome back to Locked On Spurs.
It's always good to be with you on a Monday, good sir Jeff. How's things?
Yes, sir. Well, we're ready. Look, we're going to get these Spurs fans right for the week. We're going to set them straight by pissing them off. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean we're not drafting Wemby? What? It's a no-brainer. But Vinny and I, we were talking about this last week in today's shows. And actually, Vinny brought it up to my attention. Like, are we sure Wemby's all that kind of thing? But he is. But you'll see where we're going with this in just a few seconds. But before we do all that, just a quick rest in peace, former Spurs director of scouting and NBA player Lance Blanks. He passed away last week at age 56. Spent some time with the Spurs, as mentioned, as a scout and on the TV side of things as an analyst. He's a native Texan from Del Rio. So rest in peace, Lance Blanks. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family as they're going through this tough time. But with that aside, Vinny, just, Wemby. We get it, Vinny. It's a no-brainer. You draft him. We get that. He's number one. But let's start off with the obvious, and that is his size. And at his height, not many NBA players survive. Your thoughts?
That has to be the biggest concern, I think. There's no question. The size, the stature, and the concern for injury. I mean, a handful of players with those sorts of measurables have made it. But I would say more than that have not made it around the league with sustained success. So that would be the big elephant in the room. That would be the big question mark. Yeah. Can he avoid injury with that kind of height and size? And they're going to have to bulk him up. He's going to have to get bigger. And, will those feet and those legs be able to handle all the miles in the NBA they'll want to get out of him? So that would be really the one big concern. Wouldn't it be funny, though? Consider this. Wouldn't it be funny if, say, for example, and we hope this isn't the case, but say, for example, the Spurs don't land the number one? And what if Detroit or Houston, wouldn't it be hilarious at that 0.01% chance that they pass on him? It's not going to happen, of course, but that would be just so Detroit or Houston to do that. But no, everything says yes. I mean, every box says yes. It's just a concern once he gets in the league is his durability because of the kind of frame that he has.
Yeah, again, Vinny and I, we're not saying like the Spurs should pass on him if they win it. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying look at the other side of things. We know what he can do, his height, his speed, his ability to shoot the ball, and we'll get into that in a while. His dribbling, we get all that. It's just these are things that I think Spurs fans that we believe should keep in the back of their heads. Now, look, you look at players at his height, as you mentioned, they don't survive. I think a few have. Yao Ming comes to mind, Rudy Gobert. The jury's still out on Chet Holmgren, but look at him. He's already done for his rookie season. But the majority of them fail, physically. Your Greg Odens, Ralph Sampson his career was cut short, wasn't it?
I'd have to look that up, but I
Yeah.
think that's right.
Yeah. You look at other players his size. I mean, Yao Ming definitely, his career was cut short because of foot problems. So it's just something you keep in the back of your head. And here's the other thing too. There was an article via ESPN, Vinny, and where they brought this to Wemby's attention, and the response was that his trainers don't want him to add any more muscle on it because they're fearful of it impacting his feet. But it's a catch-22, Vinny. He's going to have to add size. Can you imagine Joel Embiid going at him on his rookie season? It's going to be, Embiid's just going to body like the you-know-what out of him, Vinny.
Like I said, the last time you and I were together last week, Jeff, the competition he's playing right now is not at any level of what he's going to see in the NBA. So I would think that they have to add some bulk and some weight to bump with those big guys in the league. But I agree with you. It's going to be an interesting, delicate balance how they work with him and how they want to bulk him up and how they want his physique to be, because he is such a freak of athletic nature. I mean, it's going to be a delicate balance because he's a stretch player. He can do it all from any part of the basketball court. So how do you manage, the physique that they want him to play with and the minutes and just who he is? It's going to be really interesting to see how all that plays out if he does in fact land with the San Antonio Spurs. But again, in general, it's going to be interesting to watch him regardless of where he lands. But of course, again, we hope it's here.
Yeah. And look, Spurs fans probably listening to this right now saying, well, he's not going to be able to, he's not going to be worrying about your Embiids and your Jokers, and those kind of bigs in the NBA because he's not going to play them at the 5 spot. And we get that. But there's going to be switches. Defenses are going to switch them off. That's going to happen. It's coming. So as a Spurs fan, you just want to keep that in mind that is just something that you hope that Wemby will get better at once he's in the NBA, or more specifically, if he is a San Antonio Spur and the Spurs draft him. One other thing, you mentioned the level of competition. I'm glad you brought that up because I think we're getting enamored by his play, and rightfully so. But Vinny, have you ever looked at the level of competition he's playing with the Metropolitans 92? And he passed on playing at in the EuroLeague's elite level before committing to the NBA draft. Luka Doncic, before coming to the NBA / lottery, I know his name, was playing already at the highest level overseas. Wemby passed on that. Your thoughts?
My thought is, before we even get to this fall playing NBA games, he's about to enter a brand new world this summer in the NBA Summer League.
Right.
I mean, it's just he's about to step up into a level that he's not yet experienced. And do I think he'll be ready? I do. It's going to be a learning process, and there's going to be a learning curve, and he's going to see things he's never seen. But yes, it's about to change dramatically. I mean, and by dramatically, I mean dramatically. I mean, these are the top 1%. These are the best of the best in the world, and he's about to enter that world.
And the other thing too, you brought this up, and I thought this was very interesting. And last week when we were talking off that when we finished recording, you said, "Is it interesting that he didn't stay with Tony Parker's club?" I think that's very interesting because you would think that he would want to be with Tony Parker, considered the greatest French basketball player ever, and he has ties to the Spurs. And Tony Parker told French media that he will help the Spurs groom him should the Spurs get him in uniform. But he bailed on Asvel, and he went to the Metropolitans. It's not, and I'm trying to get at, he bailed on that situation, which I thought could have helped him tremendously. And then he doesn't level up, though. He just goes to the Metros. I found that interesting. Now, maybe there's some financial stuff. Maybe it just could have came down to that. But I think that is a concern. Or not actually a concern. Just something, again, to just, as the old 90s song used to say back in the day, Vinny, things that make you go, by CNC Music Factory. And that made me go, Vinny. What are your thoughts? Hey, I want to talk to you about $1 million daily Superflex promotion from PrizePicks. Hey, with the NBA playoffs and finals on the way, every day of the NBA playoffs and finals, one PrizePicks user will win a chance to become a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. EST will be randomly selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts. 6 correct picks gives you 1 million. 5 correct picks gives you 80,000. 4 correct picks give you 16,000. Full details can be found at prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at this link to be eligible for the $1 million entry. Once you opt in, that's it. All you gotta do is play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner, all courtesy of PrizePicks. So how does PrizePicks work overall? Well, you pick 2 to 6 players that go on to score more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You go up to 25 times your money on any entry. You don't compete with anybody else. It's just you versus the projections available from WNBA, esports, NASCAR, NBA, NFL, PGA, and so much more. You find it all over at PrizePicks. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super easy, safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users get themselves a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. You deposit $100, PrizePicks gives you $100. You give $50, PrizePicks gives you $50. Don't forget, enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
It may not be anything like you just pointed out, but it seems like there's something to it. It's curious. All we have ever heard is that Victor is with Tony, and Tony has a pipeline to the Spurs, and blah blah blah, and then suddenly now, he leaves Tony Parker's organization over there in France. So it is curious, and because I think he probably could have learned more and seen some better competition and learn things about the NBA way. So it's probably minute in the end, but it is a curiosity as we count down to what hopefully is a big night for San Antonio in late June.
We're talking with Vinny Vinzetta, the Vin Dog, right here on Locked On Spurs. He's with Ken's 5 TV on the sports desk, and follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta. By the way, Vinny, there's been fans demanding you post a picture of the Kawhi Cup.
I'm behind on that. I am behind on that, and I'm going to give my word right now on this podcast. I am going to make that happen because some folks on Twitter already hit me up and said, "Let's see that. Get it out there." So yes, I will make that happen. Busy sports week on the TV side, but I promise, Jeff, I will make that happen. And you know what else? Kawhi and I have a strange kinship. I don't love it as much anymore.
Okay.
But we both share a birthday on June 29th.
Oh,
it used to be a really cool thing. It's not as cool anymore for the obvious reasons. But I will get that McDonald's cup out there. I promise.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made you an offer on it. I would not be surprised if that happens. That might happen. Maybe they might offer to burn it. I think that's what they'll do with it. But
yeah.
circling back to Wemby here. Look, again, we want to make it clear. We're not saying the Spurs should not draft him at all if they win the lottery. Not saying that. We're just saying these are the concerns that you should be thinking about should that happen. And he's in a San Antonio uniform. So we've gone over the level of competition of the Metros. Didn't play in EuroLeague's highest level, even though that's many thought that he would. Let's talk about his game itself. Wonderful athlete, can do it all. But why are people really getting hyped up about his three-point shooting when in reality, it's not that great? He doesn't shoot the three ball well. Sure. He averages 20 points per game, 10 a game, and nearly 3 blocks a game. Sure. But I believe it hovered a little over 30% ish. So yeah. Interesting. Your thoughts, Vinny?
I just think it's become the way of the world. We've entered this new sphere with NBA basketball where 7-footers shoot threes, and it's become kind of one of the new ways. So I think it's part of the hype and all of us being enamored that a guy 7'3" can stretch like that and pull out there and hit threes, and it just looks so different from something we normally see. You want to see Steph Curry shoot threes, but here we are seeing a guy that has to barely tippy-toe to dunk a basketball out there shooting threes. So it's a little bit of an anomaly. But that if he can shoot them around 30+%, I mean, that's a win. It's something we don't see every day. So I think we're enamored with how cool it looks. But yeah, I mean, again, he's about to stop shooting threes against his current competition and shoot threes against the best defenders in the world. So, you know, that percentage may not hang where it is, and he's going to have to work on not only being a set shooter, but, you know, moving with the basketball. He has that kind of length. So he's going to have to learn a lot of the NBA ways to utilize his three-point shooting skills.
Well, I looked up his three-point stats throughout his Euro career and even with Asvel. So his highest three-point percentage was 50%, but that was with French club Nanterre, but he only played 4 games. So I'm not going to count that one. 4 games under his belt. But if you look at last season with the Metropolitans, he shot 29% from the three line. In 2021-22 with Asvel, Tony Parker's Asvel, 26% from the three line. And then in his first season with Asvel, 21-22, 30% from the three line. So maybe he's not that great of a three-point shooter, despite what the highlights show, Vinny.
I mean, the numbers you give there don't lie. I mean, they are what they are. You know, but gosh, he's still a kid too. I mean,
that's true.
He's learning his body. He's figuring out who he is, and yeah, I think he'll probably come to quickly understand it won't come near as easy in the NBA. So he'll have to figure out how to find those shots and make sure they're good looks, because he's about to leave a whole lot behind playing with boys and about to play with men. So
absolutely,
we will see what happens.
I don't know if you ever if his stats are in front of you, but if you don't, even better. What do you think his career field goal percentage is in his time in France and with Tony's team in Metro? What do you think his overall career is in 4 seasons?
Well, do you know? Or are you about to tell me?
I know. I know.
Okay.
I want to see what you guessed at that.
I'm going to guess a career field goal. I don't know. Since the way you painted that picture there, it makes me think it's a little bit lower than what I might think. But I'm going to throw out career 37%.
No, 45%.
Wow.
I thought it'd be higher.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, in the sense because he plays in the paint, you know, and you know he you would think that he would just be dunking left and right, but his highest in his 4 years overseas was 47.5% with the Metropolitans. His last season with Tony Parker's Asvel, 47.3. So maybe that's a push, but yeah, 47%. So I thought that'd be a little bit higher when I saw it. I thought it'd be pushing mid 50s. I really thought.
Well, I think we can all assume he won't shoot anywhere near that in the NBA.
No.
Obviously, that tells us a lot about the competition I think he's been playing too overseas.
Absolutely. Now, look, again, if you didn't hear in the first segment or now or just a few seconds ago, again, we're not saying the Spurs should pass on Wemby at all. I think that he's a no-brainer. Spurs win the lottery. We can really start doing the articles about Wemby. It's obvious they're going to get him because look what he does overall. For his career, 4 seasons overseas, his career averages are 12.3 points per game, 2.3 blocks, less than a steal, 0.6, 1.3 assists. Okay, those numbers are a little bit skewed because he really didn't come on until last season with the Metropolitans, where he averaged 21.5 points per game, 2.4 assists per game, 3.1 blocks per game, shot 47% from the field, and then that 29% from the three line. So it's just interesting. You push this all together, and it makes me think like, yeah, he is a no-brainer, but there might be maybe some polishing to do when it gets to the NBA. Vinny, your thoughts? Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers drive-through coffee. San Antonio, did you stay up late last night? Do you need to pick me up? Look no further than Mudslingers drive-through coffee. Mudslingers is locally owned and independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our community. They do it fast and friendly so you get on with your day. Whether you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, or a Red Bull infused lightning bolt, they have drinks for every taste. They got over 300 5-star reviews that cannot be wrong. They also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for you when you just want to take it easy. And may I recommend the Red Bull infused lightning bolt? I'm telling you right now, that's going to power you throughout the day. Also, you might want to be checking out their social media, like their their Twitter, for example, at MuslingerSTX, because they may be coming out with a special drink. A little bird told me that will definitely pull on the nostalgia strings. So swing by Mudslingers drive-through coffee for a tasty and convenient caffeine fix. Located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 21 and 1604. They're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at MudslingerSTX. That's MUDSLINGERSTX. Life is too short for bland coffee.
Well, I think that's more than fair. Yeah. I mean, look as good as you want over against the competition you've been playing. And that's why he's going to be the number one pick, because he checks all those boxes and is a generational talent. But they'll have to hone some things for sure when he is in San Antonio, because it's just a different ball game. I mean, you know, there is defense played in the NBA, and players take pride in that. And I mean, he'll find his way. It's just not going to happen immediately. And if he shoots in the 40s, I mean, my goodness, how many games are we going to win? And and how fun are the future springtime's going to be? But I don't think there's a lot of shots to go around with a lot of players. So he's not going to shoot at that clip, but every single night he may have individual nights like every player does. But there is so much to be excited about with him. I want to go back to what Jeff said. Let's not try to depress everybody. I mean, we're circling all angles of Victor here, but there's way more on the plus side than on the negative with this kid.
Absolutely. Now, I looked up right now what level in the EuroLeague are the Metropolitans 92. So the Metropolitans 92, they're the highest tier level in French basketball. So he played at the highest level of France. A part of me wishes he did join the upper crust league, the Euro League. I think it was, somebody will correct me on Twitter, probably Barcelona. I think Barcelona, Madrid offered him a deal to come play at the highest level overall in Europe, and he declined. So interesting. That's very interesting. So he got the highest level in France, just didn't get the highest level in Europe, Vinny.
I guess he wanted to stay loyal to the country. I don't know. That is curious. That's interesting. Maybe we'll learn more about that down the road. Huh.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're done talking, and now Spurs fans are going to grill us now. You can let us know what you think. You can let Vinny know on the social media there at Vinny Vinzetta, V Vinzetta. And also subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. We thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. So let's go ahead and take a hard turn around the corner here and talk some Spurs news and notes. And Vinny, it just lined up this way that we're going to be talking about Spurs collectibles, but maybe not in a good way. So before we hit record on this show, I brought to Vinny's attention that some new sneakers are coming out. Hey, sneakers, cool. What's the latest line? Well, they're silver and black. All right. Spurs colors is great. They're Spurs themed, kind of, sort of. And yes, a former Spur wore them, but just not what you think. Here we go, Vinny. I'm going to ask you and set it up for the listener. Adidas recently announced they're going to release a new Tracy McGrady sneaker with a silver and black Spurs color theme to honor his 13 points in 33-second game versus the Spurs when he was a Rocket. Vinny Vinzetta, will you be getting those sneakers?
Absolutely not. What is happening here? Could we get anybody from Adidas PR or marketing on the phone? What are these people doing? I mean, they're making it so obvious this is a shot at the Spurs, but surely they're not doing that. But who came up with this? I mean, if you're going to do this, fine for T-Mac, who, as we discussed earlier, I think before we recorded the podcast, you and I, that, he had a short stint with the Spurs, but he did this with the Rockets. I mean, why would you do silver and black to honor that? I don't get what is happening here. What is this?
You're absolutely right. I don't get why they should have made it red and white, a metallic red and white. That makes more sense. Way more sense. But my only theory is because it was against the Spurs. and he stomped on the Spurs, the whole idea, he owns the Spurs, for that night. I mean, my goodness. I looked at the roster right now, the Spurs roster. I don't think there's anybody on Team Adidas. So if Spurs fans are looking for some sort of themed Spurs sneaker in a good way where a Spur did it right, no, but Tim Duncan for a minute was with Team Adidas. So maybe that could come down the road. But yeah, when I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness. I go, it's obvious that they're taking a shot at the Spurs. And they are, because that's what they're honoring. T-Mac's explosion on that game. I remember watching that game, and the moment when Devin Brown turned the ball over, I said, oh God, it's over. It's done. I mean, T-Mac was cooking, Vinny. He was just cooking.
He was, but still, I just, it was crazy to see that in 30, 35 seconds or whatever. But
yeah,
I just don't understand what Adidas is doing here. Like, who was around the table that decided this was a good idea? I mean, quit making it so obvious. You're all Rockets fans at Adidas PR and marketing. I mean, this is. I think Spurs ought to hit them up on Twitter and say, "What in the world is this? I mean, is this the joke of the day? What is happening here?"
I know. I thought that was a fun thing to post on kensfi.com/Spurs. If you want to go see those sneakers, it's up there right now. You can't miss it. It's a big old picture of sneakers. And I asked Spurs fans if they would get that sneaker, and majority of them, they said no, obviously. But there was just one fan, Rudy Campos over at Sweep the League. He said that he would get those because they are. If you just look at them for what they are, Vinny, they're a nice throwback to the 90s style, that big kind of chunky Velcro strap, all that stuff. So aesthetically, they're cool. It's just what they represent, not cool. But one lone Spurs fan is brave enough to get them, Vinny. I thought you would be one too.
No, I'm gonna stand firm. I'm not good with this. I'd like to know what T-Mac thinks. He might see this and say, "The hell is going on here? Why wouldn't these be in metallic red or something?"
Yeah, that just makes so much more sense to put them in metallic red and white. But they went with the Spurs colors. Oh, well. Spurs fans definitely do not appreciate the slight towards the silver and black. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about Wembanyama? Are you upset that we talked about maybe some of the bad stuff that should be thinking about? Or you appreciate that we're bringing up the other side of Wemby's game? You can let Vinny know on Twitter at Vinzetta. Vinny, anything cooking on the sports desk side?
Well, this is a Monday. Yeah, tonight's my big story about UTRGV football on the way to being born and launched down there in the Rio Grande Valley. So check that out 10 o'clock tonight on Ken 5. And if you missed it over the weekend, I've got a really fun, happy, healthy story from UTSA baseball. The daughter, the head coach's daughter, Pat Hallmark, his daughter, Georgia, is their bat girl. And so it's a really cute, fun, happy, healthy story just about family and love. And Coach Hallmark breaks down crying toward the end of it about what it means to have Georgia in the dugout and being the bat girl. So you can find that story. It's already aired, but you can find that at ken5.com.
And I'm assuming it's on your Twitter as well, Vinzetta.
It will be there.
Absolutely.
It will be there.
Along with the Kawhi Cup? With the Kawhi Cup, too?
Gotta make that happen. You can hold me to that. That will happen. That will happen.
The fans are demanding to see the Kawhi Cup. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. As we always say, you guys are the everydayers. And yeah, in case you didn't hear the beginning, Locked On Spurs and the rest of the Locked On Network is now available on the Sirius XM radio app. So congratulations to the network. So for Vinny Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs. Thank you.